Hey everybody, it's Big Lair here again. It's still September 3rd, and there was a second topic I wanted to talk about today. This is a topic that was brought up a couple times in the past week. I had two different individuals ask me about it. It's pretty important topic, I think, a big topic. I'm sure it's one that affects a lot of people. A lot of people are thinking about it, so I thought I would just address it today from my viewpoint, how I understand it. And I'm trying to think of how I can preface this. I guess it would this is basically a discussion of gender versus your sexual preferences. Okay. And I had two individuals ask me almost the same question recently, and it was about past lives. And both of these people said to me, is it possible, both of these people were women, or are women, and they said to me, is it possible that I could have been a man in a previous life? And I said, of course, that's very possible. It's more than likely you have been, if you've had, any number of previous incarnations. And they said to me, well, Larry, you've talked about past lives before. Do you remember being a life where you were not a man, a life where you were a woman? I said, yeah, I do actually. I can remember one life only. I'm not sure why that is. Most of the lives I remember, I was a man, for whatever reason that is. So, when you think about it, we're all from, this is just, I'm going to tell you my opinion of things here. So, if you don't agree, I'm cool with that. So, I believe that we are all from the source. And you can call the source whatever you want. You want to call it God, the universe, whatever. The Great Spirit. It doesn't matter to me what you call it. I'll just use the term the Creator because the Creator is more fitting in my opinion. It really gets down to the nuts and bolts of the whole situation. God, it's sort of this kind of big fuzzy name, fuzzy idea, but if you say the Creator, then we start thinking, oh, there's this entity or individual who is creating things. And that's what I believe. So we're all part of the Creator. Some people call it the source. And from what I've been able to gather through my psychic abilities and dealing with spirit guides and whatnot, is that we all came from this one source. And I won't get into how that works or what that entails, because that's a pretty big pretty long topic, and I don't want to get into that long topic here. So anyway, we're all part of the source. So I guess you could say we're all a part of the Creator. And if you added up all of our parts, we would be the complete Creator. I know for some people that may be a shocking thing to hear. It may be troublesome. That probably doesn't agree with what you've heard when you were younger. If you went to any kind of organized church or any kind of organized religious ceremony, more than likely you did not hear what I just told you. Now, this is what I heard, or what I've gathered through my own dealing with spirit guides, and I've heard it from a few other psychics in my life, and it was really like hammered home to me when I was 20. I had a near-death experience when I was 20. Had to do with this really terrible infection I had in my throat, and I think my heart stopped for about 2 minutes and 20 some seconds. I don't guess, I know, but I saw a copy of my medical report one time, and that's how I know how long it was. Long story short, I was looking down at my body on the operating table in the hospital. I knew I had passed away. all these beings came towards me, and I'm guessing that's like the welcoming committee when you pass away. Wasn't scary, wasn't painful. In fact, I was in a lot of pain before before my heart stopped. I was having this surgery. I had to have emergency surgery, and so there was no pain. It was very peaceful, and it was silent, this kind of silence that we don't have here on this earthly plane. No matter where you go, there's still something, right? Some kind of noise. But this was no noise. Like I said, peaceful. My life did flash before my eyes. That was a very interesting phenomenon. It happened like that. And I was 20 at the time, so 20 years. It was all summed up. And I've spoken about that in a previous video, I believe, that near-death experience. And what I didn't mention previously is that I was having this dialogue with someone. I'm not going to say it was the Creator. I'm not going to say it was Jesus. Was it my spirit guides? Was it all of these beings? They appeared, from what I could gather, from what I felt, as they were relatives of mine who had already passed on, and they were welcoming me to, whatever is next. Call it heaven or paradise, whatever name you want to put on it. So they were coming to meet me. And so I was having a dialogue, this mental dialogue, but it seemed very clear to me. It was very audible, but it was also like a knowing, an extreme knowing. And I was not a religious person as far as organized religion goes. Of course, when I was a kid, my parents took me to church on Sundays. I was raised Christian, right? Methodist, actually. Went to a Methodist church, went to Sunday school, went through the whole confirmation process, had a hard time with confirmation. I remember the pastor we have, I'll be nice and I won't say his name because I could embarrass the guy a little bit. But he was, he probably thought he was a great example of a Christian, but he was very stuck in his ideas of things. This is my water, sorry. And I remember, we'd have to read all these Bible passages. So this confirmation process took place after school and over 2 years. Holy moly. So we'd have to read these Bible passages and then discuss them. And I questioned everything. Start with Genesis, creating everything. Why 6 days? Why rest the seventh day? Sounded a little funny to me. And then you've got Adam and Eve. And oh boy, they didn't mention the wife that Adam had before Eve. That's interesting, huh? That's taken out of the Bible. I mean, they left that part out, right? So okay, then we'll just forget about that. So there's Adam and Eve, and then they have 2 kids, and then their kids grow up and get married. And so I was like, wait a second. Where did these other women come from? There's only Adam and Eve, and then the 2 kids. So there's only 4 people at that time. Where did these other women come from? So right away I was suspicious of the Bible. There were just too many things that didn't add up, even for a junior high school kid. So even at if I'm being honest, by about the age of 8, I thought the whole religion thing there was something wrong with it, really wrong with it. And then by the time I got to confirmation, I was 12, 13. And I had a lot of questions, didn't buy it. So anyway, I'm just giving you a little background here. So I questioned a lot of things. And I've always been suspicious of the whole thing, the Bible, the whole story, everything. So I wouldn't consider myself a serious church goer from an organized religious standpoint, but I am very spiritual. And I've always tried to live my life a certain way. There's certain rules that we should all abide by, and if you do that, everyone gets along pretty well. And when you don't, that's when things go haywire. So I found that I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious in the sense that most people are using the word religious. So anyway, and so I'm now going back. I had this near-death experience. So my body, my heart has stopped, and now I'm above my body, and then boom, I'm in this other place. And it wasn't like, white puffy clouds. It was like a light was shining around me. Like there was an area lit up around me, a pretty big area, maybe, I'm getting the number 20 feet, maybe 20 feet, about 6.5 meters in diameter. And then all of these people are standing around it, like ready to greet me. And I was like, oh boy, I passed away, no, I don't want to do this. And one of the thoughts I had was, oh man, am I going to get it now because I didn't go to church? I stopped going to church as a teenager. I think the last time I went with my grandmother, only because she liked to go to church and it was a social thing for her. So I would go for her, or go with her. And so I thought, oh boy, is this not going to church thing going to come back and bite me in the ass now? And the answer I got from whoever was speaking to me said, the physical structure known as a church is not important. What's important is that you live your life. Trying to think of exactly how it was worded now, because this was like 31 years ago. Boy, I don't want to sit here and waste time on the video trying to remember the exact words, but the message I got was, there's no need to go to church, the physical structure of a church. Just live your life as though the Creator were standing next to you. If you did everything in your daily life, if you thought the Creator of everything is standing next to me, watching everything I do, you'll know how to live your life. So I thought that was really interesting. That was a relief, actually, to get that answer. And there are these people, you meet once in a while, they're very serious about, serious Christians or whatever, and they'll say, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Well, maybe they're getting at the same thing that I'm saying, right? If, imagine if the Creator of everything was standing next to you at every moment of the day, would you do these little things that maybe aren't the best? Would you get angry at your kids? Would you scream at your kids? Would you hit your kids for these really petty reasons? Would you treat people poorly, treat people in a bad way? If you saw someone who was homeless or needed a meal, and you got money, would you buy them a meal? Would you help them out? So to me, that was a pretty important takeaway from that event. And so there were a lot of questions that were asked mentally from me. And this is all bringing me back. So I'm just kind of giving background on some of the times that I've received information in my life, and why I trust the information, because I had certain ideas about things and then I was able to confirm them during my near-death experience. So that's been very important for me, and it's been kind of a nice guide, letting me know what's right and true and what's not. Okay, getting to this issue. So these two girls asked me on separate occasions about is it possible to be a different gender in a past life? Yes, of course it is. And then they both said to me, well, what if a person was gay in a past life? And that was really interesting. And I said to them, well, I'm sure that's possible. There's gay people, walking around now. So I would imagine, from the beginning, there have been gay people. And the interesting thing was that these two girls were concerned about it. And then I realized, in a past life they were a man, each of them. They were a man and they were gay, and that bothered them. I mean, they worried about it in this life, like there was something wrong with them. How could they be that way? And I said, well, if you've got a few minutes, I'll give you my take on it. And they both said, yeah. So I said to them, number one, if in a majority of your past lives, let's say you've been a woman, in a majority of your past lives, so that your cells have memory. You know, our cells have a memory that maybe is imprinted on us by our soul. So we, you know, like I'm living this life, all of these things have happened to me, I'll pass away someday, my soul will leave this body, and probably most likely I'll enter another body in the future. And then when I enter that body, there will be these imprinted memories, experiences in that soul body that will get imprinted into the cells of that body. And I'm pretty sure this is true because I've been able to eliminate some lifelong weak points in my body and heal different injuries that, you know, I never injured that part of my body, but I had these problems. And then once I was able to go back to these past lives and see, oh, that's where that injury came from. Oh yeah, I had my leg cut off at the knee on that ship fighting these, you know, I don't know if they were pirates or who on this other ship. And oh yeah, that's why I had knee problems in this life. And once I remembered that and said, okay, that was in that life, that memory is not serving me at all in this life, you know, be gone with you. And then it cleared up. And I've done that with a number of things. So in the same way, if you've lived many, many lives, a majority of your lives as a woman, and now you come as a man, there's a chance that that feminine, all of those memories of being a woman, that femininity is going to imprint on your male body, and you may feel drawn to this female, what can I say? Femininity. I'll just leave it at that. You're drawn to the feminine energy. And, you know, you see these people, you know, wherever you are, you see women that are very tomboyish. You see men that are very feminine. You know it when you go to school. If for those of you who've gone to like public schools in whatever countries, you know, you've seen kids by, you know, kindergarten, first, second grade. You know, you can look and go, oh, that boy over there, he's quite feminine, you know. Or you see a girl and you go, wow, what a tomboy, you know. And I'm not passing judgment on anybody. I'm not saying that anything is right or wrong. But you notice it. So that's that, right? You've got these memories and experiences imprinted on the body that you're in now. And for me, I was telling these two girls, I said, well, for me, I think I've been a man for a majority. I've been a male for the majority of my past lives, because I can only remember one life where I was a woman, and I can remember probably more than 20 past lives where I was a man. And I said, if I was, you know, born into a woman's body in my next life, I would not be surprised if I was a lesbian, because I love women, right? I'm not attracted to guys at all. I love women. So I could see that happening. And the other thing, now after I had, during my near-death experience, I had some very interesting information given to me that I don't think I've told anyone about it, like on a public forum like this, but I'll say it now because it may help somebody out. And then a number of years later, here in Japan, when I started meditating again very seriously, I had a conversation with this female entity, and I'm going to call her the creator. And I think she's probably the creator of humans on this earth, which I know will rile up a lot of people's feathers and say, oh, how can you say the creator's a woman? It's a man. How can you say it's a man? What proof do you have the creator's a man? I've actually had, several occasions. Well, no. So I had my near-death experience where I was probably as close to the Creator, as close to heaven as you get without dying, and I was given a lot of information that has come true. And after that, a number of years later, I had a series of conversations with this, I'll just say the Creator, who I believe is the Creator of this world. It was this woman. I'm going to call her a woman because she looked female to me in every respect. She spoke, in such a manner that led me to believe she was a woman. So, you see a woman, you know a woman. Anyway, she did say that she was not the creator of everything on this earth. There were other creators who came and with, they brought animals and some had brought plants, and it wasn't just one creator doing everything like the Bible has told us. It was probably a handful of creators, or a number of creators adding things to our planet, getting us to where we are today, which is quite fascinating, I think. So she was explaining a lot of things to me. I have many notes from my conversations with her. And I asked her about this idea of homosexuals, right? People being, gay, however you want to say it. So, men liking men, women liking women. What is that all about? And she said, because she is the creator of this planet, of humans on this planet, and of humans in close, what did she say? Within this universe, I think is how she said it. She is the creator of most what we would call humans in this universe. And interestingly enough, when I asked her what her name was, she said, well, you're living in Japan, and in Japan they have this legend of this woman goddess called Amaterasu, and she was the creator of Japan. And she said, if I had to tell you a name, I would tell you that name, because I did create, Japan and the peoples of Japan, but I also created other humans. But the only group that gave me a name were the Japanese with Amaterasu, and for whatever reason, when I would go and check on them, they were interested in who I was, and I gave them this name, and they've recorded it, and it's carried through history until now, and people still are aware of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I said to her, so the Japanese have a name for you, and here I am, a white guy, an American guy living in Japan, and you came to me to tell me this information. Boy, I don't think anyone's going to believe that. And she actually wasn't concerned with people believing me or not. She thought it was important that she tell me, because I needed this information and it's going to help me in the future and whatnot. So, okay. So she said, because she is the creator of most humans in this universe, the universe is slanted towards the feminine energy. Now, there always has to be somewhat of a balance between masculine and feminine, but our universe slants towards the feminine. And because of that, and it slants toward the feminine, and in a sense giving women more power than men. Okay? One of the reasons was there had been other experiments with, creating humans that failed. So she didn't go into, what these failures were or where they were. She just said the energy has been slanted towards the feminine energy because we wanted men, the males of the planet, to be attracted to women, attracted enough to where they would sorry, that was just my son coming in. Attracted enough to where they would want to be with women and would want to procreate, to keep the human race going. Okay, so there's that. So there's enough strength in the feminine energy that men would be attracted to it. Okay, now women being born into this are also, because they're feminine already, they're attracted to other women. So that would explain the issue of lesbians. And I said, well, what about homosexual men? And she said, well, as part of our growth, our spiritual growth, what we're supposed to attain as humans through all of these lives, certain number of experiences and whatnot, it gets quite complicated, but there will be times when, just what I said previously, that someone will have a number of lives as a woman, and then they get thrown into a man's body because they need those experiences, and they remember that feminine energy, and then they resonate with that feminine energy, and then they want to be a woman. And because they remember being a woman and having a man, having that union with a man, they want to achieve that again, because that was a positive thing, right? So that draws men together, gay men together, because they're looking for that masculine energy. And of course, heterosexual men would not be interested in that sort of relationship. So homosexual men who have this, what can I say? This memory of the strong feminine energy, they seek each other out. Okay, so that's the reason there. Now, I've never understood the big issue between the homosexuality, people, what would you call it, gay bashing, or discriminating against someone because of their sexual preference. Because as far as I know from what I just told you, which came from many experiences actually of speaking with this female creator and having my near-death experience and asking questions and being given a download of information, I don't even know why this issue of homosexuality is even a topic in our society, because it's evident to me that it's just part of your DNA. It's like imprinted on your DNA. There's nothing wrong with you if you're a homosexual. It's just who you are. It's the same as, let's see. Well, what's a good example? And some people are going to laugh and say that, I'm not giving a good example, but I really think this is the way it is. Okay, I like playing tennis. Tennis is pretty fun. I like swimming. I like weightlifting. I don't like team sports. I don't consider baseball, basketball, or American football to be serious sports. And that's just my opinion, right? So for whatever reason, I'm drawn to sports that are individual sports, where it's just, yourself or you against one other person. I don't like team sports. I'm hardwired in such a way that I like individual sports. I don't like team sports. And in the same respect, there are people who are homosexual. Men are attracted to men, women are attracted to women. I'm a guy who is attracted to women, just as I'm attracted to individual sports rather than team sports. So for me, that the issues are the same, And also, because of your past life experiences, you're drawn to certain countries. You're drawn to certain parts of the world. Maybe you're drawn to certain languages, or you're drawn to the artwork of certain parts of the world, whereas you don't like the artwork of other parts. Or there are some languages you just hate. You absolutely never want to learn those languages. You don't want to hear those languages. Why? Because you have all of these memories and experiences from numerous past lives, And you've developed likes and dislikes, and those have carried with you through many, many lifetimes. It's the same thing, in my opinion. So I just want to say that if someone is out there and they're homosexual, it shouldn't even be a point of discussion, in my opinion, because it's just who you are, right? Like I'm Big Lair, and I have a love for Japanese style tattoos, which is why I have this big tattoo here. You know, I went through all the pain to get this because this is something I like. Probably in past lives I've had similar Japanese tattoos, right? I'm sure of that. And in the same respect, you've had other life experiences that have made you the way you are. So if anyone out there is feeling bad, feeling guilty, somehow feeling that they're not a good person or not a complete person because they're homosexual, I would say, whoa, 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 hold on here. You are exactly who you should be, right? The universe isn't making any mistakes about who you are. Now, I will add one thing. There's this whole issue of gender and are you a man, are you a woman? That goes back to what I just talked about. However, you also have to realize that there are some very wealthy people in the world who are directing this narrative. They've created this whole issue of gender and gender pronouns and all of this stuff. They're doing this to control people because they need distractions. They need bigger and bigger distractions to get people to stop looking at the important things that are happening in our world. And they're doing it by these type of activities. You know, it's the old divide and conquer. Why fight your enemy face to face when you could split your enemy into two groups and have them fight each other and kill themselves? And then you're just sitting back going, oh, this is great. I didn't have to do a thing and they took care of each other. That's what's playing out. And this gender issue is one of those issues to distract people from what's really going on in the world. So just remember that, okay? So the important point is don't feel bad about who you are or think, you know, it's a mistake or don't have any negativity around the whole issue, okay? You are who you are supposed to be, and everything was done with a very good reason, with divine purpose, okay? And yeah, so having spoken with these two gals over the last week, and I could tell they were really having a tough time mentally. They were questioning themselves, and there's no reason they should have. So today, as I was driving, I thought, this is probably an issue that I should talk about with everyone, because I've never heard anyone else talk about it in the same way, and I think it'll put a lot of people's mind at ease. Okay, so this is Big Lair. I hope you enjoyed the topic here, and if you have any comments, let me know. Oh yeah, I'm not really a YouTuber or anything like that, but as everyone says, you know, smash up the like button. If you like the video, give me a comment. No negative comments, okay? Because if you give me a negative comment, if it's a worthy comment, I'll consider it and I'll reply. But if it's just a dumb negative comment, I'll delete it, or I'll make the video so no one can comment. But anyway, you know, be respectful. And I appreciate people's feedback. If you've got some topic you're wondering about, let me know, and maybe I'll have a chance to make a video about it. Okay, take care, everybody.